This is Nan McKay, and I would like to introduce you today to Danijel Spoljar. He is the assistant manager in the dining room, and he has been with Azamara for quite a while, but let's just talk about this cruise. We are on the Quest, and we are on a 10-day wine and culture tour of starting in Southampton, going down to France, and then going on to Spain, and eventually Portugal. So you've been with the company for 20 years, but you've been on Quest for about
12?
12?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm on a Quest since 2010, May 2010 to be precise, and all the time, of course, with a couple of vacations every year in between, I'm still here. I'm with the company 20 years because Azamara was established in 2007. However, I came from Celebrity, who was actually in charge of the wedding opening. Azamara came to the reality. And so they sent me here for 1 or 2 contracts. I came, I see what's happening, and I make one of the best decisions in my life to stay here. So after sending me for 1 contract 15 years ago, still I am. Despite the fact that Celebrity was an excellent company to work for, I make one of the best decisions in my life to stay here with Azamara, which I'm still enjoying.
Well, you know, with Azamara, you have a small ship rather than a quite large ship. And does that give you a little more teamwork and camaraderie because you get to know people better?
Exactly. Teamwork, camaraderie, maybe one wider, range of responsibility, because on the bigger ships, you know exactly who is in charge for what.
Yeah.
Here, all the time, teamwork is kind of, emphasized because we're helping each other. Sometimes we are doing the job. Actually, it's not up 100% in our job description, but that actually makes life here more interesting than on the bigger ships.
Now, you grew up in Croatia, right?
Croatia.
So tell us a little bit about those days of growing
About those
up.
days. Oh, that was very nice time of my life. I was born in Zagreb, the capital of Croatia, and I'm still living in Zagreb, just not more in the downtown. I just moved to the western part. I still like my city. It's a very nice place to live. But when I was a kid, what was it? I was quite good in school. I did like school. In the high school, and especially the elementary school. But in that time, what I can say, as maybe the highlights of everything, I did like, to go with my friends for fishing, for swimming. We have rivers and we have, swimming pools, spas and everything. Later on, when I grew up a little bit older, when I was a teenager, able to drive, every weekend we drive to the sea, because in that time was kind of 3 hours to reach the sea, from Zagreb. Now today with these modern highways, you need less than 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, let's say so, for the first beach. However, what actually determined my kind of, childhood, I was all the time, or with the bikes or with the motorcycles later on when I was older, or with the basketball. That was my main occupation, when I was a kid and a teenager later on as well.
And you probably still like some of those
Still
things.
like it,
We're going to talk
bike
about
is still
some of
there,
those.
yeah, bike is still there. Basketball, just watching there now because I cannot play anymore. But however, still my passion, yeah.
Still your passion.
Exactly.
So what influenced your decision to go sail? I mean, that's
sail.
just not something that everybody does.
Exactly.
How did you decide to do that?
Well, like this, I'm not quite much personnel who making plans in advance. But however, I started with the hospitality when I was a kid, like 19 years old. Helping my friend in a bar. Later on I start to work in some kind of food service, outlets like pizzeria, like these traditional Croatian restaurants, and then I ended up basically in one very good upscale restaurant in Croatia. And sometimes, you just make your decision on the spot. I believe we just saw how this cruising industry is growing, and everything. And we just said, what, let's try to do something. Because I did have friends who went on, but just for 1 or 2 contracts back in the 90s, on a ship they worked for Carnival. So I said, let's try. And then we went to the agency, which is one very good agency in Zagreb, and basically that was a real expansion, of the fleet in Celebrity in that time. They just launched the Millennium class vessels, then come Summit, then come Constellation, and Infinity in between. And then exactly in the time when Constellation was launched, that was like beginning of 2002, actually we even called for the interview. We passed the interview. After 7 days, one small course, they told us, yes guys, you get a job. And basically after 3 months they called me and told me, Daniel, you have 7 days to join. Summit was in that time, so
whoa! I really have to make up my mind, huh?
Yeah, it is, and it was quite fast. And I said, okay, I have 7 days. This is how I joined the
Now,
ships.
you actually studied math and physics, didn't you?
Exactly,
You
exactly.
thought you were going to go a little different direction?
Like I said, not in one moment, but not in that moment, because I was in a college. I did not finish the fourth year of the college. However, I like math, I like physics. At that time, kind of was a normal move for me to go on a college. However, looking old friends of mine, working something, and of course, 18, 19, 20 years old, you want to make some money. And I was saying, these guys are always, oh, everybody knows when they're working, well, they had money, they in a pocket, the whole, and they go outside and then, well, this one bought a car already, this one having things like this. I mean, that was a car,
Yeah.
maybe for $1,000 or so, but in that time was a kind of very big deal. So I say yes, and then I started, and then with the time, actually, not long time, just after maybe a couple of months of work, I realized, well, this might be for me because I like to work with the people. I must be honest, I work, the most of the work was happening in the late night or afternoon or something, So I did like it. You can sleep in the morning, you can have all the day, and then it start like 4 or 5 p.m. and work until midnight. So I did like a couple of things about it, even the job description, even to be with the people, even the money was always good in that business. So I said, yes, this is for me. And then after some time, as I said, my friend came and, okay, let's go to the agency. And I must be honest, maybe it was kind of, fast decision, but the response was also very fast. We came like in a perfect moment, and that's how we get a job, how we started there.
Now, you have various companies that you interview with before you go on the ship. In other words, people don't just interview directly with the ship, do they?
No. We did have an interview with this agency in Croatia, who is actually kind of in charge for not only Croatia. They were hiring people from all that area, from Slovenia to Hungary, Bosnia, Serbia, Montenegro, So it's very good, nice agency. And then I came in a perfect moment. I did not wait too much for my interview, which was kind of, more or less basic interview. And then they chose me for a 7 days course. We went for the course, which was in Zagreb in Croatia as well. And then we got a job, like 11, 12 of us, everybody who were on the course. And
That
then
was fun.
I believe I was the last one who actually left for the ships after 3 months. Some of them, they get a job like after 2 weeks after the training, I don't know in this moment how many of them still on board, but 1 or 2 who were the closest friends of mine from that group, they are. One is back in Croatia, opened his restaurant, and one also opened his restaurant, but in the States, in Chicago.
Oh.
So this is what I know about 2.
Now, I'm sure when you started, you didn't go from barman over here to, boom, assistant manager.
No.
So what happened in between? Did you kind of work your way up in various jobs?
Exactly. So how does it work? So over there, I joined the summit back in 2002. I exactly remember it was Alaska Cruises, and I joined in Vancouver. In Vancouver, when I see the ship of 91,000 tons, you have, oh, whoa. I never saw the ship bigger than maybe like 7 or 10,000 tons, So it was a little bit shocking the first moment, but I did get a job as a system waiter. Later on, like spending 2 contracts as a system waiter, I get promoted to the waiter, which I was waiter for 5 years. Then later on, team leader for 1 or 2 contracts, head waiter, assistant waiter. So it's going,
And you just
slowly,
kept
slowly. Every 2 or
moving
3
up.
years, you're moving a little bit up, which is very good, which is very good. Keeps you interested in a job, keeps you motivated, and keeps you basically, time is passing by fast because you are occupied with something and you're looking forward for something, and basically makes life interesting. That's it.
So what do you like about Azamara?
What did I like it when I came here? First, I like, it's not a ship. Ship is always, ship. However, the atmosphere here that are people responsible for, I did like better. Ship as a ship, I like it because, it's very handy. Being a waiter when I joined Azamara was always kind of, having feeling in the beginning that I forget something. You know why? Because we were finishing in the mid-dining room so fast that I was always having feeling, okay, what did I forget? Something for sure, because we were very, very fast done with our duties, On the bigger ships, you're always losing the time because gale is not
Lots of
like one deck
people.
here. It's 2 decks below, and then you're running, and then you come to dining room. We have another 200 feet to the last station. Here, all dining room is kind of smaller than the one section over there. If you have like 340 seats dining room, and you have 1,300 seats dining room, is a huge difference.
I understand now
Yeah.
because you're right. I remember being on the bigger ships. There's a long distance to get
Yes, everything
your
takes more
food
time.
back and forth and
Exactly.
everything. So let's explore the responsibilities of assistant manager, and tell me a little bit about what do you do? What's your role? What's your responsibilities? What are your duties in that job?
Absolutely, but the now my main focus actually is kind of to be responsible for the dinner service in the Colline Franci, which is our Italian restaurant and the steakhouse, to make the services up to the standards. The guests are happy with the food and with the service and leave the restaurants as such. However, things that people don't see what we are doing behind the scene is from the paperwork, to the reservations, to the, crew issues, to the preparations for dinner, meetings, briefings, getting the right information that has been passed to you, to your crew. And, it's kind of complex, to have the happy guest, on a table and to have a happy, crew and happy bosses on the end. It's kind of, a process that has been influenced from many sides. So you need to be balanced with everything and
a ballet,
a ballet.
production.
Exactly. But the most important for us, the people are living happy with the food and service. So that's our prior mission here.
Well, for people who don't know, what you manage is the specialty restaurants. So, and you can add to this if I don't know it all, which I'm sure I don't. But you manage Prime C, which is the steakhouse.
Steakhouse that we are currently in, yes.
And people usually, unless they're in a suite, will pay a little bit of a surcharge for that to come. So it's not like the dining room and all the rest of the places where people just go for free.
Exactly.
This is a little upscale. This is more toward the top, right?
Exactly.
And then you have Aquilina.
Exactly.
And
we are the specialty restaurant, Italian restaurant.
And that's kind of Italian and seafood.
Yeah, I will tell Italian, yes, but let's say so Italian Mediterranean. Basically, I like to call it Mediterranean because most of the things are kind of connected, not with Italian, then in the French cuisine as well, and with the other Mediterranean cuisines. We do have also nice steak over there, absolutely, We call it different than the filet mignon here. Over there we have tagliata di manzo, but basically it's a filet mignon. And again, beef is of course from Nebraska, even though it's an Italian restaurant. Yeah? But the secret over there is a little bit kind of, in a different approach. Here in the Prime C, you have very simple thing. You have high quality of the meat, extremely high quality of the meat, which is lamb from New Zealand, beef and veal from Nebraska, and then you just have, to put it on the grill, and of course you need to have very experienced cook to get the cooking points. But it's very straightforward. However, over there, approach is a little bit different. Approach is kind of, that we have homemade pasta, homemade sauces and everything. Let's say so over there, a little bit different cuisine with a different approach. So it's also based on high quality ingredients, but require for the chef to be a little bit more creative and a little bit more, putting the things that on a paper, they're not going together, but put them on a plate and make perfect combination on a plate.
Now you said homemade pasta.
Homemade pasta.
You and I were talking about gnocchi.
Gnocchi, homemade. All our pasta is homemade. Gnocchi, linguine, spaghetti, everything is homemade. We have pasta machine and everything is homemade from the scratch. That makes difference, including our sauces, which are all based on the, homemade demi-glaze or whatever. So I believe all the sauces, except of course Bernays, are based on a demi-glaze, which is again homemade. And it takes like 36, sometimes 40 hours to make it. It makes difference.
Who does the menus?
Who does the menus? Menus are coming from the office. We change the menus in a specialty, so like every 2 years. But however, chefs have also certain, certain space to maneuver and add some dishes as a special of the days, or maybe make some adjustments. But basically it's coming from the office, and then we are just adding the things, maybe sometimes, like special of the day, which can be dessert, can be appetizer, can be main course. And we do have space for maneuvering to provide the guests with something additional. Yeah.
Well, you talk about appetizer. One of the things that you do in both restaurants, I've found, is that you have a little, I've heard people refer to it as lanyap, which means that little extra thing that you didn't expect, and that's in the beginning, isn't it?
That's in the beginning. So right away, we give this small thing that is the same for the both restaurant. They call it amuse bouche, which is actually nothing else like entertainment for the mouth, if you translate it straight from the French. Yeah. So what does it do? Does it because you order some things that can be like carpaccio, which can be delivered within 2 or 3 minutes, but sometimes you order the soup or sometimes you order the pasta for your appetizer, which can take some time. Just to keep you entertained for a moment, we're always going to bring this first, yeah? Or maybe you're very hungry, you just need, to have something to bite or two.
To put with your cocktail.
Exactly, to put with your cocktail or with a sip of the wine, just to keep you entertained and keep you ready for dinner.
And it's
what we do.
always different.
Always
It's
different,
very
yeah.
small, it's
We
about
have-
this
exactly.
big, but it's always very creative.
It's always very creative. Yes, some of them are really, really, really creative. Some of them kind of, require time to make them. So
Yes,
the guys are
yes.
making this, and then you think the guy already have 10 on a plate. No, it's 2 or 3 of them ready. Just because it's many of details. Yeah.
Now let's talk about White Night. Now White Night is the night where everybody kind of gets dressed up in whites, and then you have all this big display of food, creative, beautiful food everywhere. Are you involved in that?
Yes, we are involved with this. And me particularly, yes, as well. Not much by the line. The line, just chef tell us how we're going to line up. They make the layout of the buffet, and then of course our guys are bringing, and refilling the line. However, my maybe more responsibility will be to put the setup and everything on a pool, because as you can see, we start like at 4 o'clock p.m. and then we remove all the loungers and everything, and we from the deck basically make one huge restaurant, including the deck 10 as well. No, I just recently I was checking my photos and I saw maybe it was 2010. I was on journey, and 2010 I believe was it, and I saw the first one of the first white nights that we did over there. You should see, like just 5-6 tables, few lounge-chairs, and that was it, Now when you compare it with the maximum of the tables that we can do, I believe it's nearly 500. If you can, deck 9 and deck 10 together will be nearly 500.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they are spectacular. And of course, you don't announce when it is at the very beginning, because you're looking at the weather, aren't you?
Exactly. We do have it, as a scheduled, but sometimes, like the last couple of cruises, I must be honest, we rely on the high tech. We rely on Mr. Google, what they're going to say, how it's going to be, because proof is a very, very, very useful tool. Like this cruise as well, I believe we just moved it 24 hours backward, because as we witnessed it in the Bordeaux, second day was kind of rainy,
Yes.
And the decision was perfect to make it. We did it last cruise and cruise before that, and always worked perfect. The last couple of white nights, they were great.
Now, I was just on a cruise in Iceland.
Got it.
And there you have to be extra creative, because if you're going out on the swimming pool area, it's cold. It was
cold.
like 46 degrees.
Yeah, that's like 8 degrees of Celsius. Yeah, that's cold.
So you have to then kind of roll with the punches and figure out, all right, am I going to have it in the dining room
Yes.
instead of out on the...
Yes.
And who
Yes.
you get together to make those decisions?
Well,
or-
the decisions we make together, F&B manager is the ultimate hotel director who will make ultimate decision what it's going to be. However, sometimes, it's easy when you run Google and then you see chances percent of the rain was like 2 or 3%. And the next day was like a 70, so it's easy to make decision. But sometimes we're facing problem in Caribbean. Caribbean, for instance, it's very nice, it's very warm all day, but somehow can turn, within half an hour in a storm. So there is a certain parts of the world where you cannot be 100%, precise regarding
So
the
you're
white line.
hoping and hoping
Yeah,
and
hoping,
keeping your
yes.
fingers
But I
crossed.
believe, quite rarely we actually skip the white night, and we are quite good in the predictions. And, as I said, if nothing else, lately we are using the technology to help us determine the right date. Yeah.
What do you find are some of the biggest challenges in what you do?
A bigger challenge. Challenges are occurring every day. There's no huge challenges in the job, because if you take your job seriously, if you're ready for a job, you're reducing the stress, you're reducing the challenges. But however, maybe on the start of the cruise, what we always have challenge, especially we having full guest capacity, which is very good. So slowly but surely we are going where we were before the pandemic. So ship is getting full. Even the next cruise will be 100% full. So it's great, to hear that and to witness that, because it's really nice to be back where it was. But however, the challenge, I will give you one example. The challenge is like how to fill it up properly, specialty restaurants on a second day of the cruise, if the second day of the cruise is a sea day. So it means it's getting full right away. Already on the vacation day, if you come for the first hour and a half, the second day of the cruise, which is tomorrow and it's a sea day, specialties are full. Usually have 8 lists and everything, Some guests who are coming, the last one on board, basically they coming and they like to book and they do not have space anymore. It's one of the most common challenges in the specialties, let's say so.
Maybe it would be easier to have us be able to make our reservations online.
Yeah,
Have you thought about that?
Well, like this, we're still making reservations, kind of, old system.
Yes,
Old
yes.
system. So how it's going to be online, requiring the little bit logistic and everything. One day we might do it. For now, we are still doing, up and you come. You make a reservation on board and that's it. Maybe the only exception is that if you have back-to-back guests and then, I just tell them I will make a reservation whenever system is active. The system is getting active on embarkation day. But that's a very, very, very small amount of reservations,
Yeah.
almost nothing.
I found that you're absolutely right, that the minute you get on board, one of your very first things you should do is make
Exactly.
your dinner reservation.
Exactly.
And make
Because-
it for the whole cruise.
Yeah.
Because
That's
it's
the best.
easier to cancel one
That's the
than to
best.
try to fit yourself into that schedule,
That's
isn't
the
it?
best.
Yeah.
Well, maybe sometimes we can be also challenged, when you change the white night. When you change the white
yeah.
night, but we know how to manage it. We know how to, transfer the guest to the other day and everything. So
Yeah.
it's 99.9% always successful, So we accommodate all the guest wishes. But sometimes you have wait list for some of the days because some of the certain days you're leaving early and the specialties, of course, are popular. Some of the days, they're not going to be popular. You cannot say, I have 700 guests in the specialties and this is 70 per day because some of days you're going to have 30, which is fine. But some of the day you're going to have 100, which you cannot make. 100 you cannot make in one restaurant. So basically we are going up to 75 or 80 per restaurant, no more, But basically, yes, this is the challenges that we facing here in the specialties.
So think about a young person who is thinking about, would love to be who you are today. I want to be Daniel. So how would you suggest today they would start out to be able to get onto the ship and then come to be you?
Got it.
Come to
Well,
be
like
you?
this. First, this is the one of the jobs you need to like it. You need to like it. Not only the job is the job, you need to like to travel. You need to be aware that you're not going to be home for a certain period of time. And when you clarify this with yourself, actually what you can do, you can, go, you can join the ship, you can start. And you need to be very, 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 very strong in your opinion. However, later on it's coming to the just couple of things. Knowledge, hard work, and ethics. Just do the right thing, work hard, your time will come. This is my suggestion to
That's
the young
great
guys who
advice.
actually like to be in a position like it's mine
Like you.
for the moment.
Yes. So let's talk about some of your other interests. You've got basketball, you've got motorcycles, and you've got cars, and you even tune these up once in a
Yeah,
while.
we like it since I was a kid, and again, it was not like, I don't know what cars we cannot afford. The cars like we have now, let's say, so, but always we were doing something and still remain, I'm with the friends, still always doing something with the cars and everything. Motorcycles, yeah, a couple of us has motorcycles, so we are driving, when it's a nice weather. Well, kind of, I will do anything with the machines, from the lawnmowers, to the tractors, to the cars. I like it. I like this technology. So I was kind of, when I was a kid, I was thinking that I'm going to be car mechanic, but, I finished in this business because it was very, very, very interesting for me. And still it is. Still I like, drive the cars, and still I like to be in a touch with all this technology. I have tools at home, the huge amount of the tools. So whatever it needs to be repaired, I'm still doing my best to do it. Maybe now lately I also found my hobby cooking. When I'm cooking for my family, for my friends, I like to see that. I like to see the people enjoying, Usually when I make lunch or dinner, then first I'm watching the reactions of the people, That's the biggest reward for me, Then I'm eating. Starting after 10 minutes after them, after I make sure that they like the meal. And maybe lately, maybe last 5-6 years, I found the woodworking very, very kind of, very occupies me a lot. Because this is one of the good things when you're exploring the YouTube and things like this. So you find some things that actually seems very, very interesting,
So what do you do with woodwork?
Well, I must be honest, usually tables, shelves, maybe furniture for the garages and something like this, but for the house is something, I did some tables because I like to make experiments with the resin. So woodworking, resin, this epoxy, and things like this. And then if you go on the internet, you can, actually, ideas are endless.
Do you have a favorite type of wood that you like to work with?
No, I'm just buying the wood basically by so I'm very happy with the American walnut. American walnut. We have our walnut is not quite good for the resin in Croatia, but American walnut that we now having in Croatia basically is very, very suitable because it's not going to make the bubbles when you cover it, in the resin, So you have fantastic tables and a mixture of the resin, epoxy resin, and the wood.
Maybe
You can make a piece of art,
You have any pictures with you?
No, unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, no. But I can.
Maybe you could send me a picture.
Yeah, maybe I can send
I'll put it right into the article of what you
I
do.
don't believe I have any of the photo now, but I do have a couple of very interesting things. I might have maybe some lights I make it, maybe home lights, and combination of wood and the resin and like a couple of tables. One or two of them are really good, and usually I give this as a gift, to my friends, or I have one in my holiday house, small holiday house, but it's nothing just, to come, it's in the mountains and then have a grill with friends and everything, but the table is over there, a big
The
one,
tables
nice one.
are there.
Yeah, table is the highlight of this small house, so it's like this.
What would you like your future to be in 10 years? Do you want to be doing what you're doing, or
Well, in
do you
10
want
years, we will see how it's going to be in 10 years, because you know what, I'm not having plans so much in advance. However, I'm still be working in the 10 years, I know that, so nothing strange, and there's quite a big possibility they're still going to be on the ships, yeah?
Now, you have sailed the world.
Yeah.
The world, literally.
The word literally, yes.
So, if you kind of had one wish for the world, all the things you've seen and the places you've been, what would that wish be for the world?
Well, the world actually, what I would like in these moments when reading newspapers and everything, I would like to see no news about any conflicts. I would like to see,
yes.
that everything is peaceful. That, let's just so, what I would also like to see, that ships can go everywhere. So what they're going to mean that everywhere situation is fine and safe. This I would like to, yeah.
Well,
Actually.
Daniel, it's been so much fun talking to you.
Pleasure was mine.
And
Thank
I
you very
just
much.
think you've got so many interests. Goodness, you've got cooking, motorcycles, cars, woodworking.
Yeah,
You're
I
a
haven't.
busy
Since
guy.
I was a kid, I was kind of busy. I was never, kind of, sleeping all day on things like this. Actually, if I don't do something, I feel kind of, my
Gotta
day
get
is
up and
going
do
for
it.
nothing. Of course, sometimes you spend all day lazy with your friends, going
Well,
here
a
and
few
there.
days here
Few
and there.
days, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
basically, after 2 or 3 days at home, I just start to looking what I will
What
do,
else can
while
I do?
while I'm on a vacation, because I like to make things, and make something that will make myself and the other one around me happy. So, whatever it is, yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much, and it was a pleasure.